Good evening, dear students. How are you?
Hi everyone,
Hi, Lucia. How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
Yes.
How are you? I was
Yeah,
doing
pretty well.
my TOEFL simulation.
Yes.
Can you hear me well? I think that
Yes, I can
okay.
listen to you.
I was doing my TOEFL simulation on the speaking part, and it was very
Okay.
interesting. But I missed the writing part, so I didn't know my score yet. So I'm gonna do
Yes.
it the writing part tomorrow.
Yeah, that's the problem with simulations that they do not allow you to get a, let's say, a glance to how your score would be, of course, because the simulations do not include the artificial intelligence that the ETS company uses for evaluating your and assessing as well your writing skills in the actual exam. But nonetheless, of course, I think that when we arrive to the writing section, that by the way is going to be next week. Yes, next week. Of course, I'm going to be giving you some feedback, okay, about your performance. But great, Lucy. I think that you are advancing very much, right? Practicing.
Super. Yes, the writing part is like saying that you need to do a document and name it.
Uh-huh.
So it's a very confusing that. So I'm gonna let it for the
Mm-hmm.
last. That's why.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Very good. Very good. It's fine, Lucia. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay. So good evening to all of you, your students. It's a pleasure to be with you again. We're going to start this class. And as I told you yesterday, today's class is going to be dedicated just to the practice of everything we learned yesterday. Okay. So please, I hope that all of you managed to watch, if you were not present yesterday, you managed to watch the YouTube classes. Oh, not the YouTube classes, the classes that I always upload to the YouTube channel that you have in the description of the WhatsApp group. All the classes are always uploaded there so that if you missed one, you can, of course, rewatch it, okay? Sorry. And now, today we are going to practice for the speaking section task number 2. And we're going to be doing that one by one, okay? As we did as well for the first task of the speaking section. Wonderful. So I'm opening right now my simulator, okay? Make sure to have a piece of paper with you, something to take your notes on. As well, make sure to have a pencil, something to write with. Make sure to have your microphone well connected, working as it is expected to, because you're going to use it today. And let's go, okay? I'm gonna close this so that we can start right from the beginning. Right, closing this, practice, custom practice. And here we are. Wonderful. Okay. Speaking task number 2, answer in quiz mode. All right. So just before we start, let me show you this structure again, just in case some of you have forgotten about the structure we have to follow for this question. Now remind, for this question or for this task in the speaking section, you're going to receive, before delivering your response, 2 type of materials, okay, or 2 information sources. I think that is the best term. The first information source is going to be a reading passage that is going to be an article about an announcement or activity going on campus, that is to say, happening in a university, all right? After you read that, which if you're asking, you're going to have 45 seconds for reading it, you're going to move on directly to listen a conversation of 2 students discussing the same topic you just read about. That is to say, if you read, for example, about, I don't know, a new class that the university is planning to offer in their biology program, you're going to listen then to 2 students of biology, probably, talking and conversating about that. That is to say, they are going to be somehow commenting on that change. And one of the speakers of the conversation is going to be the main speaker. That is to say, is going to be the person offering his or her opinion about that change in the university, and is going to offer some reasons for holding that opinion, okay? So you need to take care to always be very much, focus on those details, on those reasons, because that is going to be part of the summary you're going to make for this particular response. So what is your job after listening and after reading to these 2 information sources? Your job, it's simple. What you have to do is to summarize both materials. That is the reason, as I said yesterday, why I included the picture of a journalist, right? Be like a journalist. Listen, read, have your information prepared, take notes on it, make a summary of it, and that summary must be your response. In this case, I repeat, you don't have to offer your opinion. You don't have to offer any complementation towards the topic that you have read and listened to. No, you simply have to be objective and to offer a summary that is super trustworthy and very well structured about the reading passage and the listening item. What is the structure you're going to follow in order to deliver that response? I repeat to you, the structure or the template or the format, however you want to name it, it's the following. The first thing you have to say is to begin with in the reading passage, and then you offer what? You offer a summary or the summary that you have prepared of the reading passage. That is to say, if the reading passage was about, I don't know, the change in these biology classes that I mentioned you have to make a summary establishing all the main points of the reading passage and making sure to be concise, okay? Don't spend so much time in this part of the response, but let most of the time for the other part, okay? So after you finish your summary of the reading passage, you move on to what? To say, on the other hand, which is a connector that is transitioning from that part to the listening item, okay? So after you say, on the other hand, what do you have to say or state? Well, simple. On the other hand, and you mentioned what? You mentioned your summary of the listening item, okay? So remind that the listening item is going to be two students or speakers, excuse me, discussing what? Discussing the same topic you read about. So as I told you, pay attention to what? To the reasons that the main speaker gives for holding the opinion that he or she has about the topic that you have read about. And what is my recommendation here? After you say, on the other hand, deliver the summary that you have created of the listening item, but making sure that your summary of the listening item is including always the reasons that the speakers mention, or that the speaker, because you have to always pay attention to one speaker, right? Not to both speakers, but always to the main speaker of the conversation. You have to concentrate in always stating what his opinion is, what her opinion is, and not discussing, for example, what they talked about, that is to say, the interchange of dialogue, okay? Don't pay attention to that. Pay attention directly to the information that the main speaker offers. There is always his opinion, you're going to notice, and some reasons that he or she has for holding that opinion, for defending, sustaining that opinion. So in your summary of the listening item, you have to mention always those reasons that the main speaker offers as a defense of his or her position, okay? So on the other hand, and then you mention your summary, making sure that your summary of the listening item, it's always including the first speaker's reason and the second speaker's reason for holding that opinion, all right? That is what you have to do. Do you have any question, your students, about this structure? Please feel free to express it right now. Anything that I can help you with in this part? Anything that I can explain deeper, maybe? Tell me.
I think that every doubt, I mean, I don't have doubt, but in practice, you're
all right.
Tell us what we're doing wrong, and we're gonna learn about
yes.
it. So I think that is important to do.
All right, let's go then to practice.
Carlos, sorry. Just
yeah, Ezequiel.
Just to confirm, just in the second part of the main, let's see, with the first speaker or second speaker, it's just the reason of the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
For both
yes.
Speakers, right?
I mean, in this case, as I recommend you, dear Ezequiel, what you have to do is to focus on the main speaker, okay? Avoid expressing the opinion of both students, because one of the students or speakers is just secondary. That is to say, he's not actually delivering his opinion, one of them. It's simply, for example, remarking things like, oh, that is true. Oh yeah, I see. Or, oh, I disagree. But, oh, yeah, but continue. It's simply making remarks like those, okay? It's not actually giving his opinion. So pay attention to the one that indeed delivers his opinion. That is the main speaker.
Okay.
And always you're going to notice that that main speaker is the one offering reasons, okay? So include those reasons within your summary, all right?
Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. No, my pleasure. Okay, now let's go ahead and practice as Lucia says, because I think that as she points out, you're going to understand way better in practice. All right. So I am pasting right now to the chat box the first reading passage that we are going to use as practice. I want you to read it, please. And as you remind, you're going to have 45 seconds in order to read it, okay? So it is in the chat box. If you want to move it towards a Word document, please do it, okay? If you feel more comfortable. So please start reading your article now. All right. Okay, your time is over for this part of the task. And now let us listen together to a conversation of two students on the same topic you just read about, okay? So let's go. Remind that it's super important for you to take notes on this conversation to make sure that you have something to write on. Okay, let's go.
Now listen to two students discussing the announcement.
Can you believe this ridiculous new policy about vegetarian meals every Friday?
What's wrong with it? I mean, I thought you were a vegetarian. Isn't this exactly what you would want?
Yeah, I'm vegetarian, but we told the head of the dining hall that it was unfair that every day of the week the hot meal seemed to include meat, and students like me were basically forced to have cold dinner all the time.
What's the problem then?
We pay a full meal plan like everybody else does, but we don't get hot food like everybody else does. We wanted a vegetarian option to be included every day of the week on the menu as an alternative for vegetarians, so we can have a proper meal for dinner.
But one meal a week is better than nothing, you know?
Not really. The university thinks that this will appease us, but I still have to eat salad 4 days a week. It's really repetitive.
Yeah, I could see that getting old.
Tell me about it. And have you actually used the salad bar? Half of it is totally inedible. The lettuce is all wilted. The tomatoes are tasteless. It's not exactly fine dining.
The female student expresses her opinion about why she disagrees with the university's new policy. State her opinion and explain the reasons she gives for holding that opinion.
Wonderful. Okay, so we have listened now to the both information sources that you're going to have available for you in the actual exam. So now, please start preparing your responses, all of you, I mean, and remind that you're going to have 30 seconds in order to do so, okay? So please start preparing your responses now. Okay, so now, dear students, the way that this is going to work is the following. One by one, you're going to start delivering your responses, okay? And after all of you finish delivering what you have prepared for this question, I'm going to be offering feedback to all of you, okay? So that feedback, as I mentioned, is going to be offered at the end of all the responses round, okay? So one by one, I'm going to mention right now, following the order that I can perceive on my screen of all of you right now within the meeting. I'm going to be saying your name, and if I say your name, I'm going to mention, please have your microphone ready, start responding to the question, and then you're going to start responding, okay? You're going to have your 1 minute to respond, and then order of your classmates is going to continue, and that's until we finish with all of you, and then we're going to offer feedback, okay? That is the process that we are going to follow for this particular practice, right? Now, the first one then to start this responses round is going to be Lucia, all right? Because you are the first one that I see on my screen. Wonderful. So Lucia, please have your microphone set up and then start responding this question now.
Okay, in the reading passage, we can see that the university is proponing a vegetarian hot meal on Fridays and have a salad bar option every day. On the other hand, we can hear that the student that knows about this proposal is not agree with this because she's vegetarian and she thinks it's not fair include a hot meal, vegetarian meal, just 1 day a week because the salad bar is uneatable for her. The tomatoes are cold and are things that she says about the salad bar. So she thinks because she pays the same as the other students, vegetarian students must have a vegetarian option for every single day, like everyone with normal food.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lucia. Okay, wonderful response. All right, let's move on. Sergio, you're going to be the next one. So please have your microphone prepared and then deliver your response now.
Okay. We observe that the university wants to implement a new food system, which includes vegetarian food in a single day, which is on Friday. On the other hand, we also observe a student who disagrees with the idea because she thinks it's a ridiculous idea. Because for she thinks that should implement every day in the week. She also considers she can bring your whole food because she not really agree with the elements in the food.
Very good, Sergio. Thank you very much for your response. Okay, now it's time for Ezequiel. Ezequiel, please, you're going to be the next one. So have everything prepared for delivering your response and start now. Ezequiel, I think you have your microphone off, Ezequiel, so that I cannot listen to you. Let's go again, okay, Ezequiel, don't worry. Let's start delivering your response now.
Okay, with beginning, well, sorry.
All right, let's go again. Don't worry, dear Ezequiel, it's fine. So please start delivering your response now.
Okay, to the beginning with the university commitment, they told about the new menu. There will be a vegetarian hot meal 1 day of every Friday. To encourage healthy meals every week. On the other hand, one student is disagree with that because she's vegetarian and she pays the same thing for the other that aren't vegetarian. And yeah, sorry.
That's fine. It's totally fine. Ezequiel, thank you very much, okay? Okay, let's move on to the last one then. Raisa, you're going to be following the response. So please start delivering it now.
Okay. According to the passage, the university plans to include vegetarian hot meal on Friday in their menu in order to improve the health of their students. On the other hand, the student totally disagree with the university's decision because many reasons. She thinks that that is ridiculous because the university need to have more alternatives for vegetarian people. Other reason could be that she says that she eats salad for 4 times a week and is really repetitive for them.
Okay, precious. Thank you very much. Raisa was very good. All right, wonderful. Now it's time for some feedback. Okay, so let me start by congratulating all of you because I think that your responses, your students have been very well. Honestly, I think that you have a very good level for this being the first time you are responding to the second task of the speaking section. Okay, so congratulations to all of you. All right. Now, what else? One by one. So, for example, for Lucia, I love your responses as normally. The only thing that I would recommend you here, for example, on a specific word, would be that when you say proposing, right? The university is proposing to do something. This is the way that you have to say it, not proponing, right? Proponing, it's a word non-existing in English, but proposing, okay? Propose something, to propose, right? So just keep an eye on that word, proposing things, and that is going to be all, okay, for you. But with regard to the timing, to your rhetoric, for example, the way you speak, wonderful, okay? As well, the structure and everything was well planned, I think, for the response. Congratulations, Lucia, very good. For Sergio as well, wonderful. My only observation for Sergio would be, for example, the pronunciation of the word ridiculous. And I think that it could also work for Reza. Let me write it down here in the chat box. So when you say ridiculous, you want to make sure that your pronunciation is going to be, let me write it down for you. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right. So like that. Ridiculous, ridiculous. All right. The word within the parenthesis is how I would pronounce it in Spanish, okay? Just in case. Ridiculous, ridiculous. All right. That is the pronunciation, just in case. But wonderful, Sergio. Excellent response. Good timing, good organization. All the main points included in the response. Wonderful. Ezequiel as well. You know, Ezequiel, I think that the only thing that lacks for you is practice, because through practice, you're going to feel way more comfortable with the response, and then you're going to be able to move towards throughout the response very much comfortably, and you're going to notice how the words are going to come to you super rapidly and naturally, okay, as you are practicing this section. But with regard, for example, to the structure you follow, how you organize it, I think that you understand very well what the format is, and that is everything I want you to do right now, because the rest is going to be polished and perfected by practice. Okay, so very good, Ezequiel. And finally, Raisa, as well, I think it was a very good response. I love, for example, how you managed your time in this case, using in your response. I noticed I calculated exactly 20 seconds for delivering your summary of the reading passage and 40 seconds for delivering your summary of the listening item. Notice that I never mentioned to you, dear students, specific times for you to take in the response, because I don't want you to be trouble or to have a very troublesome issue of always having to, okay, if I don't speak 20 seconds about this, maybe the professor is going to call me the attention. No, I mean, I never mentioned timing because of that. I want you to think what is adequate for you, and to say, well, I consider that 15 seconds are enough for me to summarize, the reading passage, or for maybe other students, it's better for them to use 20 seconds and to summarize the reading passage in 20 seconds and to leave 40 seconds for the listening item, or maybe for others, it's preferable to use 30 and 30. It's fine. The idea is, as I say, to be emphasizing a little bit more on the listening item, because I consider that that is the part that the reviewer is going to appreciate way more if you emphasize them and if you try to, give it a little bit more of time. All right. But very good for all of you. Let's continue. Okay. Let's go with more practices, because we have a lot of these materials, and it's time for you to practice and polish and perfect everything. All right. Let's go. Next. So I'm pasting right now to the chat box the second task for you to, the second exercise in this case, for you to read it, in this case, the reading passage. And then we are going to listen all together the listening item, okay? So please read it and make use of this 45 seconds to do so. Start reading now. Okay, there you are. Wonderful. So now please let us all listen to the conversation that follows. Okay, remind that this immediately follows the reading passage, so get used to it. Okay, in the actual exam, it's just like that. That is to say, the listening item comes immediately after the reading part, so that you have to get used to it. Okay, to have the materials instantaneously. All right, instantaneously, because that is the way it is in the exam. All right, let's go.
Now listen to two students discussing the article.
I really don't think this is a good idea.
Ah, really? It sounds like the ads could help the radio station make money.
Well, yeah, I guess, but the radio station already plays a lot of announcements.
Announcements?
Well, yes, between shows they announce campus events, changes in school policy, that kind of thing. If they add commercials too, there'll be a lot less time for the entertainment content.
Yeah, and they can't really stop running those announcements. There's a lot of important info there.
Yeah, and besides, does the college radio station really need to bring in more money? I mean, they just got new sound gear last year, and the music department already pays to bring famous singers to campus. Who cares if they're aired on campus radio if we get the chance to see them live?
I see what you mean. I've never had any problems with the programming myself.
Exactly. I think advertisers will just take up extra time. They won't really improve the station. You know, I think they'll just make things worse. I don't know if I'll keep listening if they really do start running ads.
Well, maybe you're right.
The woman expresses her opinion about the change described in the article. Briefly summarize the change, then state her opinion about the change and give the reasons she states for holding that opinion.
Okay, wonderful. We have finished them with the information sources for this particular exercise. So let's move on to the preparation time. All of you, please start preparing your responses now. Okay, there you are. So now please, the first student who is going to start this round is going to be Sergio. So please, Sergio, have your microphone on and then start responding to this question now.
We observe that the university wants to implement advertisements from local business. On the other hand, we also observe a student who disagree with this idea. She thinks it's not a good idea because the school has already ads of many types. She also thinks the school don't really need more money, needs more money. It will just be a waste of time. And she also thinks that the school has no problem paying for its own needs. She also thinks the school don't need more money.
Okay, very good response, Sergio. Congratulations. So now let's continue with Raisa. You're going to be the second one. Please have your microphone set up and then start responding to this question now.
Okay, according to the passage, the school plans to earn more money from advertisement from local business in order to improve their programming. On the other hand, the students disagree with the school's decisions for many reasons. She thinks that is not a good idea because the radio doesn't need make more money. She thinks that the radio is entertainment way for the students and is a bad decision to change this. Other reason could be that there are not.
Okay, fantastic, Raisa. Thank you very much, okay, for your response. Ezequiel, you're going to be the third one. Please have your microphone prepared and then deliver your response now.
Okay, to beginning with the passage, the school radio station want to improve the program with the broadcast rights using popular songs and syndicate radio programs, and with the idea that will be interest to the students. And in the other hand, the student, she disagree with that. Well, she disagree totally with that idea for the radio station studio.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Ezequiel. Very good. And finally, Lucia, you're going to be the last one this time. And please start responding the question now.
Okay, according with the reading passage, the radio station of the university is proposing to add more advertising in the radio to improve the and even invite famous singers. According to that, the student that is not agree with this because she thinks that she's gonna stop listening because the radio already has a lot of announcements and that led less time for entertainment. So the university already gives money to the radio station, and she also says that the university brings famous singers. So she thinks that it's unnecessary to put more advertising to the radio because they're gonna lose time and gonna be much worse. So she's gonna stop listening.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Lucia. Okay, very good. So let's go with some feedback. Well, starting with Lucia, very good. I think that you grasped, right, the idea that is proposing. Very good. Okay, I think that you are improving there. What else? I think that Lucia, in this case, your response was perfect. So I don't have any other commentary. Very well with regard to the timing, very well with regard to the content, very well with regard to the pronunciation, with regard to the intonation. Fantastic, okay? Keep it up like that. With regard to, for example, Sergio as well, wonderful response. Don't have anything to add there. It was very good, well planned, well delivered. So as well, keep it up. With regard to Ezequiel, for example, my only observation for you, Ezequiel, would be in the beginning of your response when you're starting, you are, I think I have noticed, or maybe I am listening wrongly, but I listened to you saying in beginning. But remind that if you're going to say, if you're going to start your sentence with that expression, it needs to be beginning with the reading passage, and you have to somehow. You don't have to use the in, okay? You have to simply say beginning with the reading passage if you're going to prefer that wording, beginning with the reading passage or in the beginning, right? Using the preposition. So those are the two options that I have for you. It will be, I'm gonna write it for you here in the chat box. It will be in the beginning, right? So my options will be beginning, right? Let me write it for you. Beginning with, this will be an option, okay? Beginning with, you can start your response like that if you want, it's totally fine. You can also start it, for example, in the beginning of the reading section, in the beginning of the reading section, or in the beginning of the section, let's say just for, or the task, or in the beginning of the task. Those are the alternatives you have in order to, okay, those are the alternatives you have when using this word, okay, beginning. If you want to use that word beginning, you can use that in those different manners, beginning with and in the beginning of the task, and then you continue, right? My only recommendation for you. And rise up as well. I think that your response was well elaborate. Also, you had very well timing. You mentioned all the main points of the listening and of the reading part. I was paying attention to it very carefully to notice if you were able to include all the details and all the important parts and points and parts of the reading and also of the listening item. And I think that you have done it wonderfully. Okay, so I congratulate you as well. Rise up. Very good. Let's move on. We have more content and practice. Okay, so with another one. I think that you are all doing pretty well, dear students. I'm actually very surprised by your level. I think that surprised for good. I mean, right? I think that for this being your first time, as I say, practicing for the second task, is honestly remarkable. The quality of your responses and how much you have understood the structure and how well you manage your time, I would say is what calls and strikes me the most, because the greatest problem that test takers have in this particular exam is the timing. That is to say, how much should they speak about the reading part? How much time should they emphasize on the listening item? And I think that in your case, you have a very good comprehension of how much time to invest for every single part of your response. And I think that is exactly the key part of responding for this particular task, because when you know how to manage the time, then you're able to speak until this point, knowing that if you speak more, you're not going to have enough time, but knowing also that when you know the limitations of your speaking, until this point I can speak, and until this point I am free to continue, then you are way more concentrated in the content rather than following the outlines of the minute, right, or the 60 seconds. So in your case, I think that is exactly what happens with you, that you know very well the picture of how a minute goes, and you know exactly how to distribute your time throughout that minute, and that is what makes your response to be very fluent. So very good. Okay, keep it up like that. Let's continue. New dining options on South Campus. Okay, this is the third one. There you have it in the chat box, and please serve yourself of this 45 seconds to read it, and then we're going to continue with the conversation. All right, let's go. Okay, your time is over for this part. So now let's listen together to the listening item on the same topic in conversation. All right, let's go.
Now, listen to two students discussing the announcement.
Did you hear about the new food court on South Campus?
Yeah, man, it's too bad they're getting rid of the cafeteria.
What? Why? Won't it be good to have a few more options?
I don't know. I don't feel like this really gives us more choices. The cafeteria already had dishes from other countries. They had vegetarian options and customizable sandwiches, too. It's not like the quality of this new food court's ingredients is going to be much better than what we had. I'll bet it's all from the same source, even.
You think? I mean, yeah, if they don't even change their supplier, the offerings probably won't be all that different.
Exactly. Just pricier.
Wait, why is that?
Oh, the cafeteria was all you can eat. You'd get as much food as you wanted for a flat price. But at a food court, you've got to order individual meals. That ends up costing more.
You've always liked to load up a big plate, huh?
You've got that right. If I have to buy 4 meals every day, it's going to be hard on my wallet.
The man expresses his opinion about the change described in the article. Briefly summarize the change. Then state his opinion about the change and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion.
Wonderful. Okay, So now that we have finished listening to the two information sources that we are going to have for this particular exercise, let us continue with the preparation time, all right? As you know, you're going to have 30 seconds in order to prepare your responses. So please start responding, or not, in this case, not responding, right? In this case, preparing your response now. Okay, there you are. So for this responses round, the first student to deliver her response is going to be Raisa. So please, Raisa, be ready to deliver your response. Turn on your microphone and please start delivering it now.
Okay, according to the passage, the university plans to redesign their cafeteria. They plans to change the cafeteria by a new food court. On the other hand, the student disagree with the announcement because many reasons. The first one is that he thinks that the the cafeteria doesn't need the university doesn't need other options, other restaurants, because the cafeteria has the enough meals for their students. Other reason could be that that's all.
Okay, let's totally fine, dear Raisa. I think it was very good. Thank you. All right, let's move on then. Ezekiel, you're going to be the second one this time. So please have your microphone set up and then start responding to the question now.
Okay. In the beginning of the test, they told about the change that will be for the cafeteria and that will be replaced to the new food court and for the fall semester. And that includes restaurants, cafes, international foods, vegetarian dishes, and handmade sandwich. On the other hand, the student is disagree with the change for the cafeteria because it's same price, and the cafeteria he told us about that he can eat everything he wants. And the other thing, it's the cafeteria has international dishes, vegetarian options, foods, and that will be.
Fantastic, fantastic, Ezekiel. I love this response. Very good. Congratulations, okay? Very good. Wonderful. Lucia, you're going to be the third one. So please start responding to the question now.
Okay, in the reading and we can see that the dining hall is gonna have some changes for the end of the semester. These changes are that the cafeteria will be redesigned, and they're gonna have a dining hall with more options, international food, vegetarian food, and other sandwiches. According with that, this student is not agree with this change because he thinks that in cafeteria they already have these options like international dishes, different kind of sandwiches, vegetarian food. So he thinks that this new way of dining hall will be expensive, will be more expensive, and that's not good for his wallet, he said. So That's what he said.
Yeah, very good, Lucia. Thank you very much for that magnificent response. Finally, Sergio, you're going to be the last one responding to this round. So please start delivering your response now.
To begin with, in the reading passage, we observe that the university wants to change the cafeteria for a dining hall, and in this way, offer a greater variety of food to students. On the other hand, we also observe a student who disagrees about this because he thinks it's a bad idea to remove the cafeteria. He thinks that the cafeteria already offers several options of food. He also considers that the price of food will increase. For this reason, before they could eat more times a day, and now they can't.
Okay, excellent. Excellent, Sergio. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so some feedback. Okay, so for Raisa, for example, okay, by the way, all of your responses, I think, have improved exponentially, okay? If you notice from the first time you responded to this one, I think in this particular round, all of you have managed to respond wonderfully to the question. If I were your reviewer, without hesitation, I would give you a very, very high score, because I think that these responses have been very clear. They have been well structured. All of them have been very well elaborated to summarize the main points of the reading part and also of the listening item. All of you have been super clear in your pronunciation, and none of you blundered, okay? None of you committed a mistake. So that would be exactly the ideal response that you should look for in your exam, okay? So congratulations to all of you. Wonderful to all of you. Nonetheless, some very little details for the responses. For example, Raisa, remind that the pronunciation of cafeteria, let me write it down for you. I know it's a little bit confusing because we have a very similar word as well in Spanish, right? Cafeteria. But in this case, the only thing that changes is the pronunciation, because the word is written exactly as the Spanish version, cafeteria, but the pronunciation is cafeteria, cafeteria, or cafeteria, cafeteria, cafeteria. Okay, like this, okay? I wrote it in the chat box, cafeteria, cafeteria, all right? That is your pronunciation, cafeteria. There you are. Okay, but wonderful response, right? As you are now getting me used to, I think it is an example that certainly illustrates how to respond to this particular task, and it's wonderful. I congratulate you. As well for Ezequiel, for example, I think your response was wonderful. That is the reason why I congratulated you after you finished, because in this case, you managed to solve the problem of the introduction when you said in the beginning of the task, and then you continue, right? So it sounded way better this time. Your response was well organized. You summarized all the main points of the reading passage of the listening item as well. You managed to be accurate. Your pronunciation was excellent. Wonderful. Okay, Ezequiel, keep it out like that. I think that it is very clear for you as well how much you have improved, right? From the first one to this one. Excellent, incredible. Lucia, as always, wonderful, good intonation, good structure. Just keep it up like that. And as well for Sergio, I think that you are very much proficient for this task. You know how to summarize topics, and remind what you did at the end of your response is very good. If you don't have more information to add that is novel in your response, better to stay silent to end up the response right there, because I would say it's not convenient nor is worth the risk to continue with a conclusion that could provoke a blunder, a mistake, and that would be harmful for you, of course. Okay, so better to keep it up like that. All right, thank you very much, Sergio. Wonderful. Okay, so that is going to be all for you, dear students, today. Please don't go. I have to take your assistance, and if you have any question or any commentary, please tell me while I'm doing that. And also, please help me, with the traditional poll that we always take. Look at your screen, please. You know that feeling it positively, you help me a lot. All right. So please feel it while I take your assistance, and you can get your certificate at the end of these courses. So tomorrow we're going to start with the third task of the speaking section. And on Friday, we're going to practice for that third task, okay? But tomorrow is going to be a theoretical class. So don't lose it because it's going to be super important for you to learn how to approach that particular task. Okay, so your names, please listen to them. Your names. Okay, here you are. So it's here present. Give me a second. All right, thank you very much for your responses. Now, please help me with the other poll, because you remind that on Wednesday we have 2 polls. Okay, I'm sorry because there are 2, but the company, this is super short. Please fill it as well. All right, help me with that too. And now your names: Guzman, Raisa, Bolivia.
I'm here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Raisa. What about Lucia Gabriela Aguirre?
Present.
Pleasure, Lucia. Thank you. Alvarez Camila, again, she has never gotten into. What about Sergio Andres?
Present.
Thank you very much, Sergio. And finally, Rafael Ezequiel.
I'm here.
Thank you very much, Rafael. Okay, there we are. So thank you very much for your responses, your students. I think that it's been a wonderful night today for us. I am very glad that you have improved so much, and I see you tomorrow, okay, with the third task and with more preparation, okay? Have a good night.
Okay, bye. Thank you. See you
Thank
Thank you very
tomorrow.
much,
Bye.
Lucia.
Bye,
See you.
everyone.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Good
everyone.
night. Good night,
Buenas noches a
everyone.
todos.
Good night. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.